Thank you for joining me today for Monday morning devotion. Today I'd like to take a look at lesson 5 in my book, Encounters with God in the Battles of Life. The name of the chapter is Winning Attitudes for the Warrior. There are 8 attitudes that I have listed in this chapter. I'm going to briefly talk about 7, and then one of them I'll spend a little bit more time on. The first one is faith, saving faith as well as praying faith, a faith and a trust in God. Dependence on God for everything. Sacrifice, a willingness to sacrifice our own desires for the sake of winning a holy battle for ourselves and for others. A purpose and a vision, driven by a purpose and a vision of what God would want. We stand in the gap until the battle is won and do not easily give up. Respect and obedience. Respect and obedience do not come easy, but they go hand in hand, making us accountable to someone other than ourselves. Great people learn this early on. Acceptance, accepting and acknowledging who God made us to be instead of trying to be someone that we are not. And confidence and courage. Confidence in God gives us the courage to do what would normally make others fearful. Jehoshaphat, David, and Esther are some of the valiant warriors that I talk about in this lesson, and I talk about how they possessed these attitudes. On page 99, I wanted to start just by reading that, because then you could see where I'm going with these attitudes and what I had in mind when I wrote this lesson. It starts out by saying, what attitude do you think a warrior should have? We have all heard someone say, attitude is everything, implying that our attitude can make or break a situation. However, just because someone has a great attitude does not mean that the outcome will be victorious. Nevertheless, our attitude is the only thing we can control, even when our circumstances may be completely out of control. We may be going downhill fast. There may be nothing we can do to stop the inevitable. However, when our emotional stability is at stake and we are dealing with the ups and downs of life, our attitude may not affect the outcome, but will make a difference in how we feel and how we affect those we influence and lead. In any period of uncertainty, our mindset plays a role more than we know in determining the outlook and maintaining peace and joy in the journey. Our attitude may not change what happens, but it definitely makes us and those around us have a better outlook on life and see things through a different way. And the attitude that I wanted to talk about, because Thanksgiving is just behind us, and I thought it would be good to talk about the 2 attitudes of humility and thankfulness. I don't find this attitude to be that prevalent today. In fact, being thankful is an attitude that has to be purposefully cultivated with a humble heart. It's easier to think more about ourselves than to be humble. And the one attitude that Jehoshaphat had was humility. When he said that the battle belongs to the Lord, he realized this battle was not up to him and his abilities, but up to God and his abilities. Once we realize that the outcome is not about us, but about what God can do, our humility often expresses itself with thanksgiving and praise. The attitude of humility fosters a heart of thankfulness, knowing that God is already fighting the battle. In knowing this, we give thanks to God, thanks that is rightfully due him. This attitude of humility and gratitude switches the focus off of ourselves onto God and others. Saying thank you to God and to other people humbles us and helps us realize that we would not want to go through this life without God and each other. A person who's thankful is a joy to be around. They are not whiny or self-centered. When we count our blessings instead of counting our problems, we learn to be humble and thankful. Humility and thankfulness help us to know that the battle is not ours, but God's to fight. Have you found yourself stuck on this hamster wheel of me, myself, and I? Only you can stop and get off the wheel of self-centeredness. One way is to acknowledge that God is with you and that he is fighting your battle. Why not stop and give him thanks, knowing that he is sovereign? The battle may be hard and certainly not something we can be thankful for, but we can be thankful in the middle of the battle. One last thing. Think about someone who you are thankful for, but have not expressed appreciation for recently. Find a way to make their day special this week. Humble yourself and say thank you to them for what they contribute to your life. Have a blessed week, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next Monday. If you want more information about my book or would like to purchase a copy, please visit my website, www.candyporostowski.com. See you next Monday.